Thank you so much for joining us on this session on AI in education, differentiation and accessibility. My name is Kerry Abercrombie and I am the Curriculum Development Officer for Digital Learning at Falkirk Council. If I haven't met you before, hello, it's lovely to meet you. And if I have met you before, welcome back. It's nice to see you again. I have popped my email address on the first slide here so that you can get in touch for anything curricular based related to digital learning if you need to. And I think it's always useful to have the facilitator's email address at the top of the session so that you can get in touch if you've got any specific questions about the content of today or anything that arises from today and your use of some of these tools. I'm also joined by your Connected Falkirk officer, Mary Jane Wilcox, who is here to do the honourable and quite difficult job of managing the chat and managing the late entries and any exits. So she is here with us today as well. Now, this is the second of a series, and I know that we have some people who are joining us for the first time, but we also have some people who are joining us again. And at my last count, there were about 30 return visitors. So for those who were at the last session, this first 5 minutes is going to be things that you have already heard. So you can feel free to go and grab a wee biscuit or a wee cup of tea, put your feet up and relax just while we go over some of the really, really important stuff that we have to speak about every time we talk about AI in education. So our focus this time is on the pedagogical use of AI tools specifically for differentiation and accessibility purposes. And I have to begin, as I have to begin every conversation about AI in education, with the Falkirk Council AI in Education Guiding Principles and Support Information. The QR code here on the screen and the link that I'm about to drop in the chat will take you to our AI in Education Guiding Principles and Support page. And we are very, very clear that any Falkirk Council education staff member who is using or considering using AI tools should familiarise themselves with this information. If you haven't already seen this, you don't have to go and read it right now, but we do ask that you look at this prior to going off and using any of the tools that you see today. Now, for those of you with a training responsibility or a leadership responsibility for digital learning in your schools, we would absolutely love it if you wanted to share this information with others. If you would like a digital copy of this slide as a printable poster for a staff room or a staff base, please just drop me a little email and I will send that on. Now, if you have just joined us, we are asking everyone to put their name and school in the chat as a form of register, which we will corroborate against CPD manager sign-ups. So please do that if you haven't already done so. And just remembering that if you have joined as a group on one device, we would like for every name of the participants that are with you to be in the chat, please. In particular, I saw one, Mary Jane, come in there just under DC. That one, we definitely need to know who that is because we'll have no idea of how to figure it out. Excellent. So, when it comes to AI, as you all well know, different people are at different stages of their journey. In the last session, we took a slightly different approach to usual and we asked people for every task to self-select a group to belong to, and we then provided differentiated tasks and questions for each grouping. And this was based off of my own frustrations at having been to so many AI sessions where they have assumed the level of participants, usually making the assumption that everybody is using AI for the first time. And we wanted to make sure that everybody, novice to expert, is able to participate and take something away from the session today. Now, I know that we have a similar mixed group today, and we did ask folks at the last session, planning and preparation, to comment on this in feedback. And no one mentioned that they hated it or they thought it was rubbish. So we're going to go for the same format today. A differentiated approach, which is very fitting given our focus today. So here are the broad groupings that we are going to be working in today. There we go. We have explorers, And that describes you if you are someone who is just starting out with AI in education. You've maybe not even used any AI before, you're just curious and you're here because you want to see what all the fuss is about and what stuff is actually going to be useful to you. The focus for an explorer in this session is to discover these tools and figure out how they can make use of them. Navigators are those of us who are familiar with AI. You've probably used an AI tool or tools before. And the navigator's focus is on directing these tools with greater purpose or exploring more complex functions. Finally, we have architects, and this is those of us who are already using AI regularly, and the focus for architects is going to be on building and shaping the use of these AI tools within their own established workflows or the specific teaching context that you work in. And since architects are already living and breathing AI, we might just call upon some of you to offer some practical advice or wisdom if you are willing to share. So as I've already said, you will choose your grouping depending on the tool that we are focused on at the time. There are 4 different tools in this session, and it might be that you change which group you belong to depending on which tool we're looking at. That's absolutely fine. But for now, I just want to ask where you think you sit, generally speaking, when it comes to AI in education. And we're going to pop that in the chat. So in the chat, can you let us know which group, generally speaking, you think you belong to when it comes to AI in education? So as I say, you're not committed to this general group. Once you see the tool and the task, you can choose, and you can choose different ones for different tasks over the course of the session today. Now, speaking of the tools, the ones that we have decided to focus on for today's session come directly from our AI in Education Starter Suite. If you haven't already seen this, this is new for this academic year, so you're totally forgiven for having not seen it, unless you're at Graham High, because I think maybe Aileen has been really putting it about Graham High. But this is new for this academic year. The idea behind it is that keeping up to date with the rapidly evolving landscape of AI tools in education is super overwhelming. It's super overwhelming for classroom teachers, leaders, everybody involved in the education space. What this starter suite offers is a curated collection of 9 free AI-powered tools which have been assessed to ensure their educational value and ease of initial use. And the hope is that this will provide a practical entry point for teachers and establishments who are embarking on their AI journey. Now, within the starter suite, we do break down these 9 tools into 4 different categories, which we have sorted by educational function, because it's the educational function and the pedagogy that should always be driving the use of digital tools, not the tool itself. We are absolutely not in the business of just using AI for the sake of it. We are looking to encourage pedagogy first, purposeful AI use in schools. And these 4 different categories you might have noticed, although I noticed on the slide that that green one is very hard to see, but these are the structure for these AI sessions that we are doing between now and October. So last time was planning and preparation, this time differentiation and accessibility, and coming up in November, we have engagement and interaction and assessment and feedback. We are obviously at differentiation and accessibility, and there are 4 tools within this educational function. We have Google Gemini, Magic School, School AI, and Diffit. And these are all tools which can help you as the teacher design learning materials that can cater to diverse learner needs. Now, I do want to note that some of you are coming from very specialist areas. You work with children with very particular needs. This session is not designed, unfortunately, to focus on the very specific. It is more to get you in touch with some of these tools, show you what they can do, and they might not necessarily be directly related to your field if you are working with a very specific group of learners, but hopefully there will definitely be something that you can take away from today. Now, the session is going to be looking at each of these tools in turn, and as you can imagine, the focus is going to be on how they can be used to help with differentiation and accessibility. So the first tool we are going to look at is the same tool that was first up last time in planning and preparation, and that is Google Gemini. Now, last time we did have a few people who were unable to access Gemini, and we did ask you in the information email before this session to ensure that you had logged in at least once, because there is a known issue with Gemini for first-time users. And the reason that we ask you to check before you come onto the session today is because, unfortunately, we cannot fix this issue locally or during this session because it requires a glow ticket to be raised. So I am hoping that all of you have managed to check your access. If you haven't, that's totally understandable. We're all extremely busy, you guys in particular who are at the coalface. Just know that if you haven't managed to check, you might face an issue when logging in. And if you do, Mary Jane will direct you in the chat on how to log this issue with us for future attention. I've popped the link in there just now for the logging on instructions, just in case anyone hasn't managed to get to that. But if you come across any problems, let us know. So, what is Gemini? Gemini is a large language model, which means that it is Google's version of like ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, Claude, etc. All of these products basically do the same thing. But because Gemini is accessed via Glow, we automatically get enterprise-grade data protections when you use Gemini. So your submissions aren't used to train the model. And this is not the case when using a personal Gemini account or indeed a personal account with many of these other LLMs. Now, this does not mean that you don't have to still be careful with the type of information and data you put in. It is still the user's responsibility to ensure that we are not using personal sensitive information. And I think in the context of differentiation, that is extremely crucial to remember, that we are not giving away the names or any personal sensitive medical information about children and young people in our care. But logging in via Glow does offer us a layer of protection, which is why Gemini is on the starter suite rather than ChatGPT, etc., etc. Now, as you can see from the starter suite, there are lots of uses for Gemini for planning and preparation, which are listed here. And we explored some of these last time, but this time I've highlighted in pink those planning and preparation tasks which are most obviously linked to differentiation and accessibility, the ones where we absolutely should be thinking about the needs of our learners and including within our prompting information that is going to help Gemini to help us to include differentiation strategies and accessible approaches. Now, I am going to do the usual quick Gemini demo, but I am very aware that many of you already use Gemini, and I know that it really annoys me when I go to AI CPD and I have to watch someone do a demo of something that I use every day. So because we have repeat participants who have already seen this, I'm going to put up the groupings and the independent tasks just now, so that those of us who have identified as architects or navigators can get on with playing while I do the demonstration with the explorers. So, navigators, your task today for Gemini is going to be to use the education prompt library, which you can access from the QR code. Now, if you haven't used the education prompt library before, this is our homemade Falkirk prompt library that gives high quality prompts that you can copy and paste into Gemini and customize to get a better output. Now, because we're focused on differentiation and accessibility, we have added some new prompts to the library, which means that numbers 4, 5, 7, 10 and 11 are specifically prompts to do with differentiation. So you can go onto the prompt library, choose any one of 4, 5, 7, 10 or 11 and have a play about with it and see what output it gives you focused on differentiation and accessibility. Now, don't worry if you do not know what I am on about, but you are still in the navigator category. If you scan that QR code, it will be very obvious what you are supposed to do. But Mary Jane is in the chat if you do need a little bit of assistance. I'm also going to pop in the prompt library link here. so that those of us on a computer can look at that too. Architects, you are going to explore how Canvas mode can assist in creating differentiated or accessible materials. Because you're an architect, you will probably know what Canvas mode is. I want you to go and find a web page with information of your choice, whatever topic it is, and then look at how Canvas mode might be able to build us custom things that are specifically providing accommodations for differentiated materials or accessible materials. So navigators, architects, you can get started with that just now. I am going to keep explorers here with me. So if you are somebody who has never used Gemini before, you are going to stay focused on the screen and on me while the others head off to do what they are going to do. Okay, so now that the people who are familiar with Gemini are away doing their thing, I just want to show people who are new to Gemini how easy it is to use. So this will be a very quick demo, and then hopefully you'll be able to go off and have a go yourself. So Gemini is accessed via our Glow Google Workspace accounts. And there are two different ways to get into it. So we could go directly to the Gemini website, and there we would have to log in with our Glow Google username. Now, for clarity, this is the first part of your Glow username as normal, but it ends with @fa.glow.scott. And then you also use your regular Glow password. Now, I don't know about you guys, but for me, that is a little bit of a faff. I don't like going in that way because I don't always remember about that fa.glow.scott. I like to go in using the second method, which is via your Glow Launchpad. So I'm just going to go out of here and into Safari. So I am in via my Glow Launchpad. So I'm in my web browser, I've logged into Glow, and I am going to go to the Falkirk Council Launchpad. So you'll see that at the top here, just above the little square that says add, it says my launchpad. The top one with the little person is my launchpad. If I go down to the little house, you'll see it's Falkirk Central for me. For you, it'll be your school, Bean Cross, Buntaskin, Headofmuir, whatever it is. Then the third one down is Falkirk Council, and this one is the same for everybody. And this is where I will always be able to get Gemini. You can see it's the third tile along. When I tap on Gemini, it's going to open Gemini. It might tell me that I need to sign in, but when I tap on sign in, because it's federated through my Glow account, it should just take me straight in. And here we are then in Gemini. So as you can see, a very, very simple user interface. And all I have to do is type in this box what it is that I want. And I'm going to keep it really, really, really simple for just now. And I'm just going to say, I have a dyslexic child in my class. What accommodations can I make for them when delivering and planning for learning and teaching, ? So I've typed in my prompt, and I'm just going to hit that little paper aeroplane in the bottom right hand corner, and you'll see that it'll just take a few seconds and it is going to come up with an answer for me. So really, really quickly, it's given me some ideas to consider. Now, notice how I did not give the AI the child's name. There was absolutely no need for me to do that in order to get a usable response. And I absolutely have a GDPR responsibility to protect the personal identifiable information of all of my learners. So I will never use the child's name or names when using any AI for accessibility or differentiation ideas or assistance. Now, this is a very, very, very basic prompt. And while the advice here that's been given looks pretty good, like we've got some general classroom accommodations, we've got accommodations for when planning for written work, thinking about simple and clear instructions, dyslexia-friendly formatting, adapting assignments and assessments, making a suggestion about multisensory teaching or using assistive technology. Lots and lots and lots to consider. But it is also my professional responsibility to make sure that I am reading this critically and that I am double checking for accuracy before I make use of this advice. And this comes back to a really important point that you might or might not have heard of called the human in the loop. We can't outsource what we're doing to AI completely. There always needs to be a professional involved in the interaction. The AI will never be replacing us. It will always be working in conjunction with us, and it shouldn't be replacing our professional brains, that professional knowledge, that professional judgment that we have. We have to make sure that we carefully check outputs for accuracy every single time. So now that you've seen a quick look at Gemini and you've seen how to use it, we're going to have a wee shot of just trying to get Gemini to generate ideas for accommodations that you can make in your classroom. So explorers, you now also have a task. So your task is going to be to go to Gemini, log in, and just generate some ideas for accommodations that you can make in your classroom, remembering that we don't use children's names when we are asking for differentiation and accessibility advice in an AI model. So we're going to have, what do you think, Mary Jane, 5 minutes to play?
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Excellent. So I'll just get the timer up. You can head on over to Gemini and get started. Architects, navigators, you have 5 minutes left playing with whatever it is that you are playing with. Brilliant. So we're going to take a look at our next tool then, which is Diffit. Now, Diffit is an AI wrapper tool that is built to assist teachers specifically with differentiation by helping us to create learning materials. Now, you can input any text, online article, even a YouTube video, and Diffit will instantly re-level the materials and the activities to suit various abilities. Now, you might notice that I've said wrapper tool there instead of just AI tool. This is just a term that we use for tools which scaffold the AI model a little bit more. So they're using similar technology to things like Gemini and ChatGPT and Copilot, but rather than being presented with this prompt box where you're just type anything in, these wrapper tools provide boxes often or drop downs that ask for more specific information from the user, and they're usually designed for a specific purpose or sector. So we will have a wee demo of Diffit in a second, and this one is usually very popular with teachers, but I do want to give a very serious health warning, because Diffit are absolutely email daft. They will send you loads and loads and loads of emails. So think very carefully about which email address you use to sign up for this, because you are going to get a lot of emails. You obviously can unsubscribe and you can set a mail rule and stuff like that, but think carefully about which email you use. Now, the other health warning is that they will give you access to free premium features for the first few months. And this might seem like a really nice and generous thing to do, but it is actually a selling tactic. So they're trying to get you hooked on the fancy stuff so that you buy a subscription. So please do be aware that anything in Diffit that has a wee orange or yellow crown is a premium feature, and you will have access to that for the first month. But proceed with caution, because after a wee while on there, you're not going to be able to click that button that's got a wee crown anymore. On that note, please don't email the digital learning team with gripes about changes to third-party services. We always like to know if there's been a change, and we absolutely are happy to be alerted to them, but we don't have any control over what a private company does with its product. And it's not me or Mary Jane that makes the decision to not give you access to something for free, and there's not much that we can do about it when these third-party companies do make changes to their product. And that's the same when they make changes to Teams, Google Classroom, and all the rest of it. I understand that it is very frustrating, but there is literally nothing that I can do about it. So before we look at Diffit properly, I'm just going to show you this little handy table, because it's important to know that many AI tools, including Diffit and a few others that are coming up, will default to the American grade system. So to help you make this conversion quickly to Scottish year groups, we have this little table. So it would be useful for you to look here just now and identify your class's grade equivalent before you go ahead and try to use Diffit. I'm also going to pop that link in the chat. Okay, so hopefully we've all managed to find your year group or a year group that we work with on that table. So let's take a look together at Diffit really, really quickly. So once again, I'm going to come onto my home screen. I'm just going to go to Safari. And I am just going to go to the Diffit website, which I'll pop a link for in the chat just now. Here we go. So you will notice, even if you're not logged in, that you can actually use this service without having to make an account, which is great for our explorers today who might want to just try it out without making a commitment. But obviously the benefit of an account is that you can save your resources and come back to them at any time. Now, it is quite a simple user interface. You can see that I'm being invited to create student-ready resources. So I have some options along the top here. I could choose literally anything, which allows me to make resources about anything. I can choose the books option, which allows me to put in a particular book title and then generate resources based on that book. Now, on that note, please be aware that on a free account, you can only generate resources for chapter 1 and chapter 2 of a book. So this probably isn't the most useful tab. Next to the books tab, I have text, PDF, YouTube, and links. And this allows me to do exactly what it says, put in a text, a PDF, a YouTube, or a link. And it is going to create resources from a specific piece of content that I already know about or that I already have. And then finally, right along at the end, we've got vocabulary, which is just a very simple and easy tool that I can use to generate some vocabulary lists of up to 20 words. Now, for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to choose literally anything. And I'm just going to type in Greek. Let's go Greek gods. Greek gods. Now, this is a terrible example of prompting. You would obviously want to be much more detailed than this, but we're just going to put Greek gods in for just now. So you can see along the bottom of the white prompt box, I have a couple of options. So I'm going to leave the language as English, and I'm just going to tap on my grade to choose it, and I'm going to go for 7th grade. And then I get the choice of choosing a standard. Now, I'm going to leave this blank because Diffit, along with other AI tools, Magic School, School AI that we're going to use today, doesn't have Curriculum for Excellence built in. So there's no point in me even going in there because it's not going to have Curriculum for Excellence. But I am going to tap on more options on the right-hand side there. And this is where things get a little bit interesting. So you can see that it says generated reading type, and I can choose whether to make an informational text for the children and young people or whether I am making a fictional text for children and young people. I'm going to choose informational text. And then the last thing to decide is what format I would like my resources in. Now I can have pages, which will make an A4 portrait style worksheet, or I can make them as slides, which will make them landscape. And I am going to choose landscape, as I always do, because I know that I am both going to want to use this as a worksheet and I am going to want to put it on the board. So I'm going to choose slides and I'm going to tap on generate resources. And what you will see is that it will start to do its work. It sometimes can take a little minute. Sometimes it's quick. It just depends on how many people are using it, I suppose. But it's going to generate some resources for me. Okay, so here we are then. We have got our resources made for us. Let's have a look and see. So it's made us an image analysis, a little notice and wonder task. We look at the picture and we tell it what we notice and what we wonder. It's generated a reading passage for us, a long reading passage for us. It's generated a vocabulary review, including the definition and then the word used in a sentence. It's generated as a multiple choice question, a short answer question, a think, pair, share activity, and also a vocabulary match and explain activity. And if you look on the vocabulary match and explain activity in the top left of the page, we've got that little orange crown that I'm talking about. So that means that that's a premium resource. So now that I have all of this material, I can go ahead and make changes to it. So if I just go back to the top, I'm going to have a look at this image analysis, notice and wonder, and actually I don't want that activity. So in the top right, I'm just going to press on that little dustbin and it's going to ask if I want to remove it, and I'm going to say, yep, delete that. So don't want that activity, which is going to then leave me with all of the others. On my reading activity, across the top of the page that the reading activity is on, you can see I have some options. So I've got reading length, which will allow me to change the length of the reading, and I will actually change that to short because I think the one it's made is a little bit long. And I'm just going to tap on regenerate, and you can see it's already then changed that reading passage to something much shorter. I can also tap on modify reading, which is going to allow me to change the content. So you can see it's things like include more detail, remove specific content or topics, rewrite the vocabulary, rewrite using specific vocabulary words that are maybe missing from the AI generated one. And I can once again just update the reading once I've made my choices. I can also change the activity, which when I tap on that, it's going to bring up all of these activities on the right-hand side. And again, just watch out for these wee sneaky crowns. But if I was to tap on one of those, it would just replace the activity that is there with the one that I have chosen. And then in my wee three dots next to change activity, I also have some more little hidden bonus buttons. I have change style, which will allow me to change the point of view, or I could change it to a poem or a short story or an argumentative essay. Or I can also go into that wee three dots again and change the tense. So I can go, as usual, you would expect, present, past, present. I can change those tenses if I want to. Now, once I am happy with all of my activities, oh, sorry, I've just missed a bit out as well. I can also directly change what is on the slide. So if I tap anywhere on the writing, you will see that I get the usual ability to change the text, add things, take things away. And I also get my little show sources button, which is going to add in a little list of sources at the bottom of the piece of writing, which I think as an English teacher, that's really, really useful to me, because I think it's always important that we know where the information comes from. But once I'm happy with that, I'm going to tap on the green export button in the top right. And you will see once again these wee sneaky, sneaky crowns. So it's not going to let me export these to Google Slides or Google Forms or Google Classroom or Microsoft PowerPoint once I am out of my trial period. However, I am going to choose PDF, and I would always be choosing PDF because that is the file type that I can use everywhere. I can use that in Google Classroom, I can use that in Microsoft Teams, I can use that to print off, I can use that everywhere. So I'm always going to choose PDF. If I tap on download PDF, you'll see that it'll start to export that and prepare that and get that ready. Now, while it's exporting, I will just mention something that comes up quite a lot when we are talking about AI in education and third-party tools, which is that many, many, many of them claim to have integration with Teams and Google Classroom. And while that is true for those people who work in countries where they have their own tenancies and privately in education, they own the tenancy for Google or Teams, they will have administrative permission. We do not have that because Glow are the ones who provide Teams and Google Classroom, and Glow is administered nationally, which is why you will often get frustrated because it will say that you can do it in Teams and then it turns out you can't. And that's a Glow thing. That's to do with the national environment that we have. So we're very, very lucky that these tools are provided to us for free, Teams and Google Classroom, by the Scottish Government, but the price that we pay for that is not having as much administrative control as we might like. Okay, so you can see that it has generated my PDF there, and it has actually done it as a new web page. So if I was on my computer, I would just save this PDF as I normally would on my desktop. On my iPad, I could do my little share button at the top right, and that is going to give me my options for saving and sharing, and I would choose Save to Files. However, this is also an opportunity for me to show you something really cool that not a lot of people always know about. If you have corner gestures turned on in your iPad, if you swipe up from the bottom left towards the middle, so the very bottom left corner up to the middle of the screen, it will take a screenshot for you, which is handy to know anyway, because it's an easier way to take screenshots. But when we take a screenshot on a web page, it also then will give us the option at the top to change this to full page mode, which you will see then creates a screenshot of every single page. And we can now save that as a PDF. So if I tap on Done, Save to Files, and I'm just going to call it, rename it, because otherwise I'll never find it again. It's got a big crazy long link name, which is not useful for me, but if I call this Greek Gods, and then hit Save in the top right hand corner, that has saved my PDF to Files. Now, if I go to Files, to find that PDF, say that has been saved for me, or maybe even I have airdropped it to a child, when they can then find that PDF in their recents and open it up, in the top right hand corner, this little pencil will allow them to use their finger or a stylus, if they have one, to answer the question and fill it in directly on that PDF. And as long as they hit Done in the top right hand corner, that will save everything that they've written on top of that PDF. So a really, really quick and easy way, if you are working with one-to-one device learners, would be to save that PDF, airdrop it to them, get them to write over the top of it, and then get them to upload it to Google Classroom or Teams as an answer to an assignment. But that was just a wee aside to show you. So I just want to take us back into Diffit for a little second. So we've got our first piece of content, which is 7th grade English, and it's all sorted out the way that I wanted it. But this session is about differentiation and accessibility, and we know that maybe we will want additional versions of this for the different levels that we are working with in our class. So at the very top here, you can see that we have the 7th grade button, which is the button I chose at the very start. If I tap on that and I change that to 10th grade, and then I hit that regenerate button, what that is going to do is that's going to regenerate that at a 10th grade level. And every time I hit that regenerate button, Diffit will automatically save a copy of that resource. And I'll show you how we get to see those in a little second. But as you can see, in a second, it's going to pop up with the exact same resource on the exact same topic using the exact same activities, except it will be leveled to a 10th grade reader instead. So we'll look at the vocabulary as usually the most obvious place to see it. I'm just realising that my screen's not showing you the same thing. Right, back on track, we're back in. You can see here the vocabulary is very different. It's obviously a little bit more advanced because we've asked for it to be for a 10th grade reader. And that principle also works as well with the translate option at the top. So I had chosen English, but actually I've made my 7th grade version, I've made my 10th grade version, and I have a Polish learner in my class. So I'm going to tap on the language button. I'm going to choose from the drop down Polish, and then I'm going to tap on translate. And that's going to translate everything into Polish for me. And once again, it is making a copy of this. It's not overwriting the original one that I made. And here we are, very, very quickly, we have the whole activity, set of activities in Polish, graded for whatever level it needs to be. Now, to get to all of the things that I have made, in the top left-hand corner, there's a teeny, 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 tiny little folder. And if I tap on that and I tap on view all resources, you will see that it has done exactly what I promised you, which is it has every time it regenerates, it saves that last thing that you did. So we can see here that I've got my 7th grade Greek gods and myths, my 10th grade, and then I also have my Polish version as well. And to keep those together, I can use this little collections button on the left. So if I tap plus, and I'm going to say this is my Greek collection, I'll create my collection. And then I can use the little folder next to my Polish one to tap on it and say this is for my Greeks. And then my wee 10th grade one is also for my Greeks. And my wee 7th grade one is also for my Greeks. And then when I tap on Greeks under collections on the left, I will have just those resources that are for that particular class at that particular time. Although saying that, it's also added in some other ones. So I think it might just, yeah, there we go. So it's just the 3 that I have added to that collection. So that helps us to keep them all together. So hopefully that doesn't seem too scary. It was a bit of a quick demo of Diffit, and it's a bit annoying, I guess, if you've used it already. But it's time to give you an opportunity to play. So I'm going to just go back into my Keynote just now. And the tasks for this are differentiated by what it is that we are going to do. So explorers, if you are new to Diffit and you've never used it before, you're just going to do exactly what I did. Go to that literally anything tab and just start playing with it, see what it can do. If you're a navigator and you've already used Diffit before, I think the best thing to do at the moment would be to explore the text, PDFs, YouTube and links tab. This is something that you don't get to spend a lot of time exploring because you're always just doing the thing that you're most used to. But choose a piece of content that you already have or a link that you already have and explore how it maybe treats different things, how it treats a PDF, how it treats a YouTube, how it treats a link. Architects, you are already using Diffit, I would assume, because you've chosen to be an architect for Diffit. So prepare maybe some tips, advice from your experience using Diffit that you might want to gift to others today. Or if you have just seen that PDF from the corner thing for the first time, you can have a play about with that instead. But we're just going to take, I think, 4 or 5 minutes, Mary Jane, to look at Diffit on our own. But we're going to move on to our last 2 tools, which we have put together because they are very, very similar. Now, these are both wrapper tools. So once again, they are just providing more of a scaffolded experience for the user compared to the quite open nature of Gemini and other large language models. The tools are Magic School and School AI. Now, in terms of differentiation and accessibility, both Magic School and School AI have tools within them that are specifically focused on differentiation and accessibility. But once again, we do have a lot of repeat visitors today who have already seen the demo of Magic School and School AI in terms of the teacher tools. So we're going to do something similar to Gemini, where I'm going to put up a wee task just now. Navigators and architects will go off and work, and then we will all come back together. But we are going to come back together pretty quickly because we also have, for the first time over these last 2 sessions, a tool that we can launch directly with learners. So a tool that the learners actually interact with the AI model. And that's something that we are all going to do together. So navigators and architects, you're going to go off and do your thing while I do the demo of Magic School and School AI, and then we're all going to come back together for School AI. So you need to keep your ears peeled. But if you are someone who already knows Magic School or School AI, you can head on off just now and either look at the tools that are on the board here, on the board here. So these are the ones that are specifically for differentiation and accessibility. You can see that Magic School has way, way more than School AI does. But if you're a School AI guy, text leveler, vocabulary list, text translator is somewhere to start. If you're a Magic School person, vocabulary list generator, decodable text, text scaffolder, text translator, sentence starters, text leveler. There's loads of different ones on there. So go away and have a wee look specifically at ones for differentiation and accessibility. And if you're an explorer and you have no idea what I'm talking about, you're going to stay here with me just now and we're going to have a look at it together. But navigators and architects, just keep your ears peeled for when I bring everybody back together. So we are going to have a little look at Magic School then, explorers. And once again, this is one that I use in the browser. So there's no app for this. It is just in the browser, my Safari. I'm just using my internet browser, which means I can use it on any device. And this is what Magic School looks like once we get logged in. And you can see here that the interface starts me at Teacher Tools on the left-hand side. And that is where I am going to stay because this is where all of the AI tools for teachers live. So if I just scroll down here, you will see that there is a whole range of tools available to me as a teacher. Now, this can be quite overwhelming, especially if I am using this a lot and I want to find a tool really quickly. So a top tip is that if I tap on the little star in the top right-hand corner of each tool, that will allow me to add it to my favourites, and I can then filter by favourites at the top and I will see only my favourites and not that big whole list. But this time I'm not actually going to filter by favourites. I'm going to filter by categories. And that is because there is a category specifically for student support. So I'm going to tap on student support and you'll see that I now get a shorter list of tools that are specifically designed to help support students. So essentially differentiation and accessibility tools. And I can take my pick from these. I am actually going to choose the sentence starter one just now, just as an example. So if I tap on sentence starters, it's going to open up a new page and you will see that we get a bunch of different boxes that we are going to fill in. So once again, it's like Gemini in that we are just providing it with information, but it's scaffolding it a little bit more. So for me just now, this is asking, what grade level do I want to work at? So I'm just going to say 7th grade. And what assignment, topic, question, description, or standard am I working to? Now, I'm once again going to give a terrible example of prompting because I'm going to type in something very simple. Really, you should type in as much detail as you can. But if I just type in the water cycle, because my learners are learning about the water cycle, if I tap on generate, because this is the sentence starter tool, it's going to generate 3 sentence starters that I can then use as the basis of providing some scaffolds for some of my children and young people. And you can see that underneath the response, I also still have this box that says send a message. So if this isn't exactly what I wanted, I can then enter into a dialogue with the model and ask it for specifics, ask it to change things, ask it to be more precise or whatever it is that I need it to do. Now, since we are talking about accessibility today as well, I will point out that, and I'm going to zoom in and hope it works, underneath the response from the model, you'll see that we've got a couple of options. We've got like the little copy option, we've got the little pencil. This symbol with the non-Western symbol with the A underneath is the translate feature. So if I tap on that translate button and I can choose whatever it is language that I need those sentence starters in. So let's say that we have a Mandarin speaker in our class. If I choose Mandarin and press the little send button, it will give me those exact sentence starters from above, but in Mandarin, so that I can then copy and paste that or screenshot that and use that as a scaffold for my EAL learner that I have in my class. So really, really fast, really, really useful. As you've probably seen today, this translation stuff is like totally built into so many of these tools that it really does make it really, really useful to remember that it's there for when we're preparing materials for our EAL children as a way to provide the same resource but in their home language. Now in Magic School, if I want to see previous outputs, the results from all the other times that I've talked to Magic School, I can simply tap on Output History on the left-hand side here, just underneath Teacher Tools and My Collections. When I tap on Output History, it's going to take me to every conversation that I have ever had with Magic School. So it's all there stored for me. And if I ever needed to go back and use it again or go back and modify it, I can go in and do that. Now, School AI Explorers, as you will see from the list before that we showed to the navigators and the architects, it has fewer tools, but it's important to know where they are. So in School AI, this is the home screen, and you'll see across the top, we have Launchpad, which we're on just now, Spaces, which we're going to talk about in a minute, and Tools. If I tap on Tools, that's going to give me the list of not magic tools, just tools. It's only in Magic School that they're magic tools. This list of teacher tools that work in basically the exact same way. Now, we're not going to go and do one of those just now. If you do want to see that in action, in the follow-up resources, we will send the link where you can watch the video of the previous session, where you can get an in-depth look at how the tools in School AI work. But for now, time is ticking and we are going to end with our pièce de résistance. So I'm going to invite back our architects and our navigators. Navigators and architects, can you let me know in the chat that you're back with us? Because we're going to do something super fun now. Okay, last of all, we are going to look at a tool that is not focused on the teacher. So everything we've looked at so far and everything we looked at last time was focused on the teacher being the user of the AI. And now I want to show you a tool that children and young people can use, but that is still controlled by the teacher. So it gives you a level of oversight and moderation while this tool is being used by learners. And we're going to focus on one that would be particularly useful as a differentiation tool. So at the top of School AI, and you don't have to follow me because you're going to be the children in this experience. At the top of School AI, you can see that I have the word spaces. If I tap on the word spaces, I get the choice to discover, create, or sessions. And I'm going to choose discover. And what that does is that gives me access to a big, huge list of spaces. And these are AI-powered tutors or lessons or activities that have been created by School AI or other teachers, including Eileen Wallace, who's on the call with us today. She is one of our very own Falkirk folk. And I am going to be able to launch one of these lessons or these tools as a sort of AI assistant that learners will be able to use independently to help support their learning. But crucially, I will have customized that AI assistant to suit the needs of my learners and the needs of me as the teacher. So you're not letting them loose on ChatGPT. You have a level of control over the model and you also have a level of control over the moderation, and we'll see that in a little bit. So for this demo, we're getting some maths on the go, folks. So I'm just going to look for Maria, wherever she is, with her gem in her hair. I'm going to choose Maria, the math tutor. And what you'll see when I tap on it is, as the teacher, it allows me to open up the interface that lets me change the options. And if I tap on more options, you'll see that I can describe the audience, I can describe the session instructions. I'm going to fill this in, Mary Jane. While I'm filling this in, is there anything that I need to be aware of?
No, not at the moment.
So I have given it quite clear instructions about what I want it to do, what the parameters are. And I can preview it if I want, but we're just going to go in and do it. So I'm going to hit launch on the bottom left. And it's going to ask me how I want to invite you as my students. I'm going to choose space code because that's the easiest way to do it. And you are either going to scan that QR code for me and join my class. I was going to say you can click on the link, but I'm on a totally different device. So let me see if I can find you the link for the chat. And I would just like you to act like a primary six and ask Maria for some help with your maths, please, whatever it is that you want to brush up on. Some last things to know. So there are 2 sessions left of this series. Next time after the holidays is going to be engagement and interaction. Then we will have assessment and feedback later on in November. So please do sign up for them if you fancy coming along. We would love to see you again. We will also send you this slide that's got the QR codes to the different links that you've seen today, specifically the AI in Education Guiding Principles and Support and the AI Tools Starter Suite and the Education Prompt Library. And if you haven't heard, we do have a Falkirk AI Teacher Network, which you are very, very welcome to join. You don't have to be an expert. It's just for anyone who's interested in exploring AI in education. It's a Teams-based space. And you can scan that QR code that takes you to a form that will allow you to fill out an expression of interest. But all that remains to say then is thank you very much for joining us today. We really appreciate your time and we hope that you've seen something that has excited you today that you can go away and play with. But for now, safe home and enjoy the rest of your evening.